Hello girls, guys, theys and thems, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I wanted to do a video that I've had planned for a while and I wanted to do for a really long time, and ages ago, probably like well over a year ago now, somebody suggested that I did like do this video, and I had a load of other things like going on in life and stuff, and then I just never got around to doing it. So I thought today would be a good, chance and an idea to do it. So basically this is going to be my coming out story. Now, before I start, not everyone, you don't have to do a coming out story. You don't, some people go their whole lives and never ever come out to anyone. And that's great, and you don't have to. But my coming out story is a little bit different. So, yeah, I just thought I would tell you guys about it because it wasn't the greatest experience of my life, if I'm gonna be completely honest. But it's also like a PSA to like, don't do things like this because it's not cool and it's not a nice thing to do at all to anyone. So it's probably going to be a long one. I apologise. By the way, if you ever see my hands in like videos and stuff and they look like this, it's because I have like really bad eczema. So yeah, I don't think I've ever got any comments about it though, which I'm really surprised. But yeah, if you ever wondered. But anyway, so I was 16 and I was in year 11, my final year in school, and I had a boyfriend, and I'd had this boyfriend for, I think it was about 3 years, 3.5 years. We never did anything with each other. All we ever did was kiss, and that was it, because I was never comfortable. I never wanted to, and he was really sweet, and he was really lovely, and he respected that, even though there were a lot of like kids in my school who were like pushing him and egging him on and being like, oh, do this, do that, and he was like, no, I respect Soph, I'm not going to do that, blah blah. And we were more like brother and sister, like best friend vibes, more than like boyfriend and girlfriend. And when I was in school, I thought I was bi. So I thought I was bisexual. And I came out to him and he was like, okay, that's fine. I'm cool with it. I'm not bothered by it. Which back then was like a really big deal, because a lot of the time people would say, and obviously it still happens like today, but like, especially in my school, if someone said they were bisexual, they would get harassed, they would get laughed at, sometimes bullied, and people wouldn't want to like talk to them, and no one wanted to like be with them and things like that. But he wasn't like that. He was really chill and he was really nice, and like I don't know, he was just like a really cool guy. Anyway, so fast forward, as I'm getting a bit older, I start to realise, oh shit, I'm not bisexual, I'm actually a full-on raging lesbian. So at this point I'm still with this guy, and I'm like, oh shit, like he was madly in love with me, and I would say I love you and stuff, but you could tell that he really loved me and stuff, but I was just like, yeah, I love you too. But it was more of like a friend or a brotherly love, more than like I'm really in love with you kind of thing. And I was too scared to like talk to him about it on like a serious level. Like at the end of the day, I was like 15, 16, and nobody knew. Like family didn't know, no one knew. So yeah, it wasn't great. And then there was this new girl who joined our school in year 11. Year it started, I think end of year 10, start of year 11, and we ended up like really liking each other. So anyway, I broke it off with this guy that I was with, and he was devastated, he was really sad and stuff, and I felt awful because I was like, I've just spent like 3.5 years with this dude, and now I've just kind of like, see ya kind of thing. So I did feel really bad. But as well, he was like super popular, and he was part of like the popular group at school, so like everybody knew him and everyone knew about us together and all this shit. So yeah, I was never in the popular group, like people knew me, but it was just, oh, you're blah blah blah's girlfriend, and that was it kind of thing. So no one really cared much about me, no one really paid me much attention, things like that. So yeah, but I was fine, you know, I had my own friends, he had his own friends, and it was what it was, and it was fine. And then few weeks later, I end up kind of getting with this girl, and this was like a red flag, like straight from the start. Like I said to her, I was like, look, you know, we can't really tell anybody because it's way too soon. And I was like, no one at school can know, families can't know, nothing. Like, bearing in mind, still at this point, hadn't come out to anyone. And she was like, yeah, I totally understand, I totally get it, I would never. She was a fucking liar. And yeah, she ended up telling somebody who told someone else, who told someone else, who told someone else. And, you know, before you knew it, in like one lesson, it got around everybody and everyone knew. So then I was just deemed as a slag, and there were horrible jokes and really like nasty comments and things that were made towards me, towards like this girl, towards the guy I was with as well. And it really sucked, and it kicked off this whole, like, I was bullied like super bad in school. So like from then on, the whole way through year 11, which is like your final year, and it's like super important because you got like your GCSE exams and stuff. Yeah, it all just got completely fucked up for me, and everybody absolutely hated me. And I don't just mean like, oh, they didn't like me. No. These people were out for blood. Like, they absolutely hated me. They hated everything about me. I would always get called a bitch. I would always get called a slag, you know. It was really bad. And like, they would not be happy unless I was like running away, having missing days of school, constantly like had to look behind me and stuff because I never knew someone was going to come up and jump me. It was super bad, and I wasn't at a great school anyway. It was pretty rough, and everyone knew that. But yeah, and I lost a lot of friends who like I'd been friends with since like year 7, and I'd grew up with these people, and then they were the ones who would turn into like the bullies as well. So yeah. Oh, also, sorry if I'm like looking down, like it's just like, I don't know, it's just hard to talk about as well. But I think it's important, and I think, you know, I don't know, I think I've never talked about it before on my channel, so I was like, you know what, let's do it. But yeah, anyway, so it was like a really shitty time, and yeah, it was just awful. And like, teachers knew at school about like the bullying and stuff, they knew what was going on, but they didn't really care enough. And a lot of the popular group were like teachers' favourites, and some teachers wouldn't want to get involved, some teachers wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of some of these kids because they were like super popular, and some of them were like really scary, and they had like families from all over the place. Like, obviously this was in Birmingham, so they had families that were in gangs, families, you know, family members that were all over, like dotted all around Birmingham. So the teachers never really wanted to get involved because they were scared, basically, which is ridiculous. But anyway, so there was this one time, shortly after me and this guy split up, when we were together, my mum absolutely loved him. Like, she was like, he's like a son that I never had, like really loved him. And at one point they ended up like exchanging phone numbers, and I don't really know why. I think it was just like, if mum couldn't get hold of me, she would like ring him, kind of thing. Because we were like always together, like after school we would like hang out a lot, just like talking about random shit and, you know, all this. Anyway, and then there was this one time the bullying had just pretty much really started at school, and broken up with this guy who was kind of with this new girl, And so all of this hadn't really been going on for that long. And we were on like break from school this one time. And me, my mum and my dad, we went on holiday. And we were there on holiday one of the nights, and we were staying in a caravan. And one of the evenings, me and my dad went to take my dog on a walk. And we went out and we took Ben on a walk. And when Mum stayed in the caravan, and then when we got back, Mum was like, oh, Soph, I need to talk to you. And I was like, oh, okay. And she looked pretty like serious, and I was like, oh shit, like what's happened? And then I came in, there was like this little like breakfast table with like chairs, and I was sat there and Dad was sat like on the sofa but in the caravan, and she said, oh, I just had on the phone. And I was like, oh, okay, that's really random. Like, is everything okay? What's going on? And she goes, well, he's informed me that apparently you're gay, you're a lesbian. And I was so shocked and so taken aback, because I had not told my mum and dad or anyone in the family at all. I wanted to wait, you know, we always say, it's not the right time, all this kind of stuff. And I was so shocked that he would do that. And it's like he took that power away from me to be able to do it myself. And yeah, he just phoned my mum up. Bearing in mind, he knew we were on holiday. And it was like 10, 11 o'clock at night. And he just decided to ring my mum up on her mobile and be like, oh yeah, hi, said my mum's name, and she was like, oh hi, said his name, and he was like, oh yeah, I just really need to talk to you about Soph. And she was like, oh, why, what's wrong? And he was like, well, you know, we're not together anymore, we split up, but do you actually know the reason why? And Mum was like, no, not really, Soph won't say much. And he was like, oh yeah, it's because she's gay and she's dating the new girl at school. And all of this. And I don't think he told her that like I was getting bullied or anything. He didn't say any of that. And it still hurts to this day, even though this was like years ago. It still really like angers me and upsets me, because it's like, you know, you always see it on like TV shows and films and stuff, and in real life, that, you know, people were able to sit their parents down and come out to them, or, you know, write them a letter and leave it by the kettle, and, you know, they got to do it that way. But I never got that. I never, that was like just taken away from me in like a blink of an eye. And that will always be like such a big regret, and it will always weigh on me a lot, and I never ever forget it, because like, it's not my fault that happened, because I honestly had no idea whatsoever that he was going to do that. Like, we weren't talking at all, we weren't texting each other, we weren't phoning each other, it was nothing like that. And yeah, it was just like such a heartbreaking moment, because it's like, we were on holiday, we were stuck in this tiny caravan together, and there was nowhere for me to go. Like, I couldn't just run away, I couldn't do anything. Like, we were in a completely different place. And yeah, it just really, really sucked. And I think just the way it all unfolded and stuff, like, my mum did not take it well at all. Like, it was really bad. Like, the rest of that holiday was super awkward, and she just didn't really want to talk to me, and she would cry all the time. And then when we got back to Birmingham, she decided to phone like my entire family and tell them. So I never even got to tell like my nan and granddad how I wanted. I never got to tell aunts and uncles, cousins. I didn't get to do anything. Like, it was not my time, it was nothing. Like, it all just got done for me, which was super annoying. And yeah, and then my dad, I think to start with, my dad didn't believe it. He would just like make jokes or be like really light-hearted about it, which was fine. But I don't think he really understood it. My nan and granddad were actually amazing. They, you know, they were like, okay, if that's, you know, what Soph is and that's how she wants to go, whether she has a boyfriend, a girlfriend later in life, who cares? She's still Soph, you know, she's still our granddaughter. We love her. more than anything, so it doesn't matter. And I'll always be so thankful that I had that from them. And my aunts and uncles were fine. They couldn't care less. They were like, yep, okay, cool, awesome, no problem. Cousins were exactly the same. They were like, oh, okay, you're still you, like it doesn't change anything. We still love you, you're still family, like whatever. So that was all really, really cool. However, my mum did not take it well at all. She would argue with me, she would cry all the time, she would slag me off to like every single family member. And you know, because my mum, if you guys don't know, I can't remember if I've ever like mentioned this before, but my mum's an alcoholic. So she would get like super drunk and she would blame all her drinking on me. It was all my fault because I've chosen to be gay. And she would tell me every single day, every single night when my dad was at work, because he works nights, it would just be me and her in the house, and she would purposely come upstairs every single night, come into my room and be like, everyone hates you, like the whole family are absolutely disgusted in you, nobody likes you anymore, nobody loves you, really nasty, hurtful things. And obviously I just believed it, you know, I was still young and I believed it because I was like, well, I don't really have any friends anymore, they've all turned against me, apart from like a few. And then, you know, everyone at school hates me, the teachers don't give a shit, and now apparently, you know, my entire family hate me. And until this one day, I had a Facebook message from one of my, I always call her my aunt, but she's actually like my second cousin, but it's too confusing. But yeah, she messaged me and was like, hey Soph, look, I just want you to know that the family don't hate you. We all love you. We all support you. You know, this doesn't change anything. We don't care if you're gay, if you're bisexual, if you're straight. We really don't care if you have a boyfriend, if you have a girlfriend, if you stay single the rest of your life. Like, we honestly don't give a shit. We love you. Ignore what your mum says. It's not the truth and all this. And that was the first time in such like a dark time in my life where there was like a little bit of hope, like a shining light. And I really stuck with that, and I've always remembered that like message. And anyway, my mum ended up kicking me out and I went to live with my nan for a while. And yeah, and then I've never had the best relationship in the world with my mum. Like, you know, you have some people who are like, my mum's my best friend, but I've never ever had that, ever. Even before coming out as gay, I never had that. And it sucks and it's hard to like come to terms with. And I'll never ever forget the things that people said to me, really nasty, horrible things. Like, I would get death threats online from people at school. I would get death threats in person. People would just tell me to, you know, go and kill myself. I'm a waste of air. I shouldn't be here anymore. All this kind of stuff. And yeah, it just really sucks. And I think that was one of the first times, I'm pretty sure it was the first time I ever tried to commit suicide. And it's just really sad how people can treat other people that way. And what makes it so bizarre to me, and I'll never understand it, is you would think that I went to like some really strict like Catholic school and everybody was straight. No. I went to a normal public school. It was pretty shit. It was rough as fuck. Like, and the best part is there was a raging lesbian who I was like really good friends with. Everyone was chill with that. Everyone loved her for it. There were people who were bisexual. We had it all at my school. And everybody else, oh yeah, so-and-so is a lesbian. Oh yeah, so-and-so is bisexual. We love them. We stan. We love all of that. But for some reason, when it came to me, oh, you're a bitch, you're a slag, you deserve to die, you deserve to do this and everything. And I just could never get my head around it. And the only thing I can think of what it was is because I was dating one of the popular guys for like years. and then all of a sudden I'm gay. It was never all of a sudden. You know, I honestly believed for ages that I was, oh, I'm bisexual, I must be. But then I've never, ever, ever wanted to do anything with a guy, ever in my life. It's just not how I am. It doesn't faze me. I could go the rest of my life and never, ever, ever sleep with a guy or do anything, and I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? It does not faze me in the slightest. I don't care. And, you know, I have, you know, some guys in my life now, and they're like my best friends, and I love them, and I love being around guys, you know, and I can be really good friends with them. I can have really good talks with them. Everything's chill. But do I ever sit there and, you know, look at a guy and think, oh yeah, like he's sexy, he's this, he's that? No. I can never sit here and picture myself being in a relationship, getting married, having kids, anything with a guy. It's just not like that for me. And yeah, it was a really hard time in my life, and I'll never, ever, ever forget it, and I'll never fully forgive, you know, the people for it. And what really sometimes hurts the most is, even now, and this was what, 9 years ago, 10 years ago now, there are still so many people I've never, ever, ever had an apology from. All the people that bullied me, I've never had an apology from. I think I had an apology from one person. That was it. I've never had an apology from anybody else. And like, when it was all happening at school, the guy I was with, after we broke up, you know, he came to me one day and he was like, hey Soph, look, I fucked up big time. I should never have phoned your mum. That was out of order. I was just really upset and angry, which I can kind of understand, but it's still fucked up, and you should never, ever, ever do that to anybody. I don't care how heartbroken, how angry, how upset, anything you are, you never, ever do that to someone, because you don't know how their parents or friends or guardians or whatever are going to react. So you should never, ever do that to anyone. And I don't care if you hate the person, I don't care if you love the person, I don't care. You never, ever, ever take away that power from someone, because to prepare yourself mentally and physically to come out to friends, family, whatever, it is so powerful, and you are so strong and so brave to be able to do that. Because, you know, there are so many people in this world who will go their entire life without coming out to a soul, whether they're lesbian, bisexual, pan, trans. They will go from birth to their deathbed and never tell a soul, and it will all be in them, and it will all be secret, and they do little things on their own in front of everyone else, friends, family, public, whatever. No. And, you know, you are so incredibly brave and just amazing if you decide to come out as whatever you are. And people, you know, people never understand that. People never think like that, you know. They're just like, oh, okay, so-and-so came out, cool. But you don't understand, unless you're in that situation, just how fucking terrifying it is, because you don't know, whoever you tell, friends, family, whatever, you don't know what their reaction is going to be. You know, you don't know if it's going to be good, if it's just going to be neutral, nothing. You don't know if it's going to be really, really, really bad. And a lot of the time it is really bad for people. People get kicked out, people get disowned, all this kind of shit. People get bullied, harassed, everything. And, you know, I will never, ever, ever forget it. And to be fair, to this day, he probably has just forgot about it. It doesn't matter, it was in the past, who cares? But I still carry that with me and think about it like at least once a week, because it's just such a shitty, detrimental thing to do to anybody, because you're taking that power away from them. And I don't know, it's just horrific. Like, and it's just mad because this person claimed to love me and be in love with me and all this shit, and then goes and does something that fucked up. And people in my life, after all that, you know, partners and things, who I've told this exact same story that I'm telling you guys, every single one of them has gone, that was so fucked up. Like, what the hell, I would have kicked off, that's so bad, all of this. And people never think, they don't think, oh, okay, I'll do it for them. You can't, you honestly can't. It's a journey and it's an experience that everyone in the gay community has to go through, is coming out. You don't have to, but you know, a lot of them do. And to have that just taken away from you, and you know, I never got to plan it, I never got to sit people down, I never got to tell them my version and how I was truly feeling. I never got to do any of that because it all just got taken away from me in a blink of an eye. And yeah, so now, you know, I don't speak to any of these people anymore, thank God. It's quite funny. I sort of rekindled a friendship with a few of them, and like a couple of years ago, and we were like really good friends again, and we would like hang out and stuff, and we would bring it up, you know, about me being bullied and other people in the group who had been bullied by this one particular person in the group, and she would be like, me? I never did that, and all this shit. And she, honestly, whether she's lying or not, she cannot remember. She can't remember for the life of her what she did and what she said to people, and how she bullied them and made them literally want to, and that just really sucks. So I don't speak to any of these people anymore, and I'm in a very, 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 what was I going to say? I'm in a better situation now, thank God. And, you know, family are still pretty chill. It's took a really, really long time for my mum to be okay with it. Thankfully, she is now. And, you know, she's not perfect by any means, but she went from being like 0 to, say, 60, 70, which is a big thing. And, you know, we're okay. We're not perfect. We will never, ever be perfect. But yeah, and thankfully, you know, she loves Harley, and that's awesome. Thank God. But yeah, you know, I don't know. I know this has been a long video, guys, so I do apologise. But if you just take anything at all away from this video, you know, if you know someone, friend, family member, just somebody maybe you know at school, and maybe you think, oh, I think they're part of the gay community, you know, I think maybe they're trans, or maybe they're bisexual, or maybe they're gay, or whatever. Or maybe they've told you in person or over message or whatever in confidence, hey, I think I'm blah, blah, blah. Please don't think it's your obligation to go and tell everyone, because it's not. You know, coming out is such a scary, terrifying experience for anybody. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, whatever. It's terrifying for everyone, and everyone will do it differently, and you just have to let it happen. You cannot force it. You know, someone will come out to you when they're ready to. You cannot force anyone to come out. You can't make it happen. It will happen when it happens. And take it from someone who knows, to have that choice ripped away from you is so detrimental. And the trauma I have gone just through that, minus everything else, just from that, has been horrific. Because, you know, sometimes I feel like I can't relate to a lot of people in the gay community anymore, because, you know, they'll always talk about, you know, oh, this is how I came out, and I told so-and-so first, and I did this and I did that. And I never got to do any of that. You know, I never got to write my family a letter, play them a song, as a lot of people are doing on TikTok now, which I think is quite cute. You know, I never got to sit them down and say, hey, mum, dad, I'm gay. You know, I never got that. And even though it was like 9-10 years ago, I still carry that around with me to this day. And I'm like 25 in like a few months. Next month, sorry. And I think I'll always carry that with me, because it fucked me up so bad. Just that one simple thing, which may be minuscule to him, to anyone else, but to me it was such a big thing to happen, and it was such a shocker because I never knew it was coming. I didn't have a text beforehand, I had nothing, and it just happened. And yeah, sometimes, you know, I always sit there and I think, well, what if that never happened, and what if I was the one to decide when to come out? What if I was the one decided how I approached it and what I said and things like that? Would things have been different? Would my mum have literally hated me? Would she have kicked me out? Would all of this have happened? Because it just all of a sudden happened straight away, and I hadn't even been broken up with this dude for that long. For him to be like, oh yeah, she's gay, and oh yeah, she has a girlfriend. Like, it was too much. It was too much for my mum to comprehend. Not like breaking up with him, who I've been with for like 3.5 years, who she loved like a son, to then be like, yep, broken up, and she's gay, and she has a girlfriend, and the girl's a new girl, and she's all this. It was too much for anyone to handle, let alone my mum, who already has her own demons and has her own shit to deal with, to then have all of that just thrown at her all of a sudden. It was too much, but he never thought like that, and he didn't care at that point. So yeah, that was my coming out story. It's not great, and it sucks, and it still hurts to this day. But I wanted to do this video for the longest time, and I think it's super important for people to hear, because we hear so many times different people's coming out stories, and sometimes it's great and that's amazing and I love that for them, but other times it's not, and shitty things happen, and people don't agree with your life choices, and people take it the wrong way, and people lose family and friends and so many things from it. And I think, you know, we should talk about it, good and bad. Great coming out stories, really fucking bad ones. We should always talk about it and shed light on it, because it's super important. And, you know, now, like, I'm nearly 25 and I can say, you know, I am not ashamed at all, not even a little bit ashamed to be gay at all. I will always be so proud and will just be so amazed and love myself just for being gay. And, you know, if little old me at 15, 16 could see me now, they'd be like, whoa, like, you love yourself? You're not dead yet? Like, what's going on here? Like, you're actually okay with being gay? Like, what is going on? Because for the longest time, I hated myself for being gay. I hated myself. And I would try so hard to make myself ungay. Take it from me, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. If that's how you are in life, and, you know, if you're gay, bisexual, pan, trans, anything, don't hurt yourself and don't force yourself to be a way that you're not, because it just leads to trauma and sometimes really dangerous things, you know. Yeah, so you just have to be really careful. And my advice now would be, if you know, if you're watching this and you want to come out, don't rush it, take your time. You know, it's your story and it's your truth, and only you can tell it, no one else. You know, there are loads of ways that you can come out. Write someone a letter, send them a text message, show them a song. You know, there are loads of different ways nowadays. of how you can come out. And if you don't want to come out, or if you're too scared to, that's okay as well. You're valid, you're important, and you matter. And, you know, don't ever, ever, ever let anyone tell you what you are and what you aren't, because only you know. And if that's how you feel, it doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter. If you're watching this and you're 13 and you think, hey, I like girls or I like boys, that's okay. If you're 16, if you're 25, if you're friggin' 56 and you happen to see this video and maybe you still haven't come out yet, that's okay. You know, people forget this a lot. Life does not come with a rule book. No one knows what we're doing. Nobody knows. Everyone is just winging it. And, you know, if you want to live your life and not tell anyone and not come out, that's totally fine. That is completely fine. You don't have to be in this life and come out to people. You don't have to. So, yeah, just, you know, you can still be proud of who you are in your own time. You don't have to, you know, proclaim it to the world. I'm this, I'm that. You don't have to do any of that if you don't want to. If you do, great. But if you don't, that's cool too. You don't have to. And that's what I always wanted, like, this channel to be about. I wanted it to be like a safe space when we can all come together. And, you know, there'll be some videos that might make you laugh if you're having a really bad day. There might be some videos where, you know, you might shed a little tear, or you might really like connect with me and understand me, like, hey, this is how I feel. That's why I always advocate and talk about mental health and the gay community and things like that, because it, and, you know, body positivity and everything, because it is super important. And that's why I like recommending influencers who advocate for the right things and are good for your mental health. So, you know, that's what I've always wanted this channel to be about. And I used to say, like, 2 years ago in my videos, I used to always say, I don't care if I have one person watching a video or 100 people or 1,000 people watching a video. I don't care about that. It's not the views, I don't care. It's the fact that maybe that one person, even if it's just, it says one view, and that one person has watched it, and if they've been able to take something away from that video, whether that's, you know, even just for a second, for 20 minutes or whatever, you know, maybe they've had a really, really bad day and they've just found a video and they've watched it and it's cheered them up, it's put a smile on their face, or it's just distracted them from what's going on in their life, then that's it for me. I've made it, I've accomplished something, you know what I mean? So, yeah, sorry it's a pretty long video, and I'm sorry it got kind of dark and stuff, but it's a video I have wanted to do for a very, very long time. And I don't know, maybe the universe was just telling me that I wasn't ready before to do this video. Maybe I wasn't in a good enough place to do it. So, yeah, but I love you guys very, very much. Please stay safe. Prioritise you and yourself and your mental health, because you matter and you're important. And yeah, so I will see you guys in my next video. I love you guys very, very much. Bye guys.